Hey, you guys, it's Miss All Day. I hope today finds you doing well. It is Tuesday, April the 28th, and we're going to move on to 7.6 natural logarithms. If you remember from last week, you might want to go look over your 7.5 for your common log, because if you feel pretty good about that, the natural log should be fairly easy. Okay? So, one thing I want you to remember from last week is that when you go into the calculator and you hit the E button, that is actually a natural number. Okay? Um, it is approximately, let me see if I can pull up my calculator and show you real quick, just to refresh your memory on it. There it is. If you press E, you see it's approximately 2.7. If I want to clear it out and I do E to the second equals, you're going to have approximately 7.3. All right, so we've talked about E and we've done E, but I just want you to remember that E is called a natural number. It's actually 2.7, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right. Now, this is what we did. We've done y equals e to the x. This is actually called the natural logarithm. Now, you know a common log is the one that has a base 10. A natural log has the base of e. Okay? All right, so let's go down a little bit further. Y equals e to the x. If you were going to put that in log form, y equals e to the x, okay, you're going to say log base e of y equals the exponent, which is x. That's how it's going to look. That's what the second point is right here. Now, what's different about a natural logarithm is you automatically know that a natural logarithm has e as the base. So, in place of log e, you can put ln for natural log. Now, I don't know why they put it backwards. Maybe because they wanted to make sure you still knew it was a logarithm. It was a logarithm that was natural. We don't know why people do what they do. Whoever invented it is the one who got to have the say-so, I guess. But log e can be replaced with ln. All right, so there's three different ways you could actually write this natural logarithm. And all the properties that we've already used for logarithms, we're going to work the same way with a natural log. So that's what you're going to find out. If you felt pretty good about 7.6, because logs are totally new in Algebra 2, then you're probably going to feel pretty good about this. All right, let's go ahead and go to the first one. It says write each expression as a single logarithm. Now remember, when you have a coefficient that comes in front, you're going to take that coefficient and it's going to become the power for the number that's sitting to the right of the log. Now remember, this is a natural log, but I could still call it a log. All right, equals. So now we have the natural log of 7 plus the natural log of 25, because 5 squared is 25. Now remember, there's really a plus sign here, and there's already a plus sign here. So that means these two are going to be multiplied. So you take the 7 and you multiply it times the 25. So you're going to get the natural log of 175. And it's really that easy. All right, let's look at this next one. We see we're going to have to take this 2 and we're going to have to bring it up here, and it becomes the exponent. So the natural log of 15 squared minus the natural log of 75. Now you know that 15 squared is 225. I'm just going to copy that again. Now remember, there's a plus sign here, but there's a minus sign right here. So that means you're going to have a numerator and a denominator, okay? So you're going to have the natural log of 225 is in the numerator. The minus sign tells you to divide by the next natural log, which is 75. Type that into your calculator. 225 divided by 75, that's the natural log of 3. All right, let's look at C. We already see that we're going to have to take this 3, bring it over as an exponent. That's the coefficient. Take this 2, which is the coefficient, bring it over as an exponent. But let me show you something right here where people make mistakes, okay? This whole thing has to be taken to the exponent of 2, not just the x, okay? So it's real important. So the natural log of x to the third, or x cubed, minus the natural log of 2x squared. Now you're going to have to simplify the 2x squared. So that's going to be 2 to the second power is 4, and x to the second power is x squared. Now remember, there's a plus sign automatically in front if you don't see anything. So this one's going to be the numerator, and since the minus sign, this one's going to be the denominator. I guess I could put equal signs out here like that, couldn't I? All right, so we're going to do the natural log of x cubed over, I'm going to put this in parentheses, 4x squared equals. Now remember, when you have x to the third, I'm just going to ignore the 4 for a minute, over x to the 2, that really means x to the third minus 2. Remember, when you're dividing, you subtract the exponents when the bases are the same. So that's going to end up being x to the 1. And that answer stays in the numerator. And the 4 didn't change. Now, if you want to put that in parentheses, you can, but you don't have to. So there's your natural log. All right, let's go look at D. All right, we have this becoming the exponent, this becoming the exponent, and that one doesn't have an exponent. So the natural log of x cubed plus the natural log of y squared plus the natural log of 5. Now remember, all those plus signs means you're going to multiply everything. Now, if you're going to multiply x to the third times y to the second and 5, you know that 5 is going to have to go out in front, right? Because it's going to be the coefficient. So that equals the natural log of 5, and then put the x cubed and the y squared in alphabetical order. So that's the natural log of 5x cubed y squared. All right, now this one you're gonna kind of feel like this is kind of funny, but this right here is going to go here. Okay, but it's going to be for both of them. So I'm going to go ahead and write the natural log of a to the 1/2 plus the natural log of b to the 1/2. This 5 becomes the exponent minus, oops, I didn't mean to write that, minus the natural log of c to the 5th. All right, now, you know that this first one's a plus and the second one's a plus, so they're going to be in the numerator, and this last one over here is a minus, so it's going to be in the denominator. So the natural log of a to the 1/2 times b to the 1/2 over c to the 5th. And I kind of like writing it in parentheses. It just makes it not look so confusing. Now that is your answer. Now you look at it, you're like, well, a to the 1/2 is really the square root of a, and b to the 1/2 is really the square root of b. But you can't simplify that anymore. So you don't need to put it in that form unless you know it can be simplified. And if you know it can be simplified, then you want to do it. All right, let's look at this next one. All right, we know that the 2 is a coefficient. It's going to become an exponent. The 3 is a coefficient. It's fixing to become an exponent. And the 1/3 is a coefficient and it's fixing to become an exponent. So the natural log of 4 squared minus the natural log of 2 cubed minus the natural log of 27 to the 1/3. All right, we know that 4 squared is 16. And we know that 2 cubed is 8 minus the natural log of, now remember that 27 to the 1/3 is really 27 to the 1, but it's the cubic root of it. And then you can erase the 1. So what is the cubic root of 27? Why 3, of course, right? All right, this first one is a positive, so it's going to be in the numerator, but these second two both have negatives out in front, so they're both going to be in the denominator. So the natural log of 16 over 8 times 3. Now, you don't have to multiply that. You could go ahead and reduce. 8 goes into 8 once, and 8 goes into 16 2 times. So that's the natural log of 2/3. If you want to put it in parentheses, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. This is how it would look if it didn't have parentheses. All right, either way is fine. All right, when solving a natural logarithmic equation, you are going to condense, I'm going to put a number 1 right here, you're going to condense the equation to a single logarithm. Remember that e is the base. Then you're going to rewrite exponentially and solve. All right, if e is the base, I want you to picture e being right here. All right, so e to the, remember the answer here sitting here is always the power, equals the number sitting there. Because remember, this is like saying the natural log of base e of x equals 2. You take the e, you put it to the power, and you set it equal to the of number. So that's going to be x. All right. Well, I'm ready to solve. I'm supposed to find out what x is. It says round to 4 decimal places. So x equals, so I want you to take your calculator. You need it. If you don't have it, pause me and go get it. We're going to do e, we already did this a while ago, to the second. And you see that it's 7.389, and that's going to be a 1. Okay, so I'm going to change my equal sign to approximate signs, approximately. 7.3891. All right, let's look at the next one. We want to get the natural logs on one side of the equation by itself. So we've got to get rid of this 3. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. And we're going to have the natural log of x plus the natural log of x equals 5. All right, the natural log, now we see that these have plus signs in front, so they're all going to be multiplied, okay? So the natural log of x times x, which is x squared, I'm going to put that in parentheses, equals 5. Now, remember there's an e right here. This is when you put the e in the place. When you have the natural log, you have something sitting here, and then you have the exponent here. I'm going to call it a power. You put the e here, okay, and now it's time to rewrite it using e. Okay, so you have e to the 5th power equals x squared. Now you want to get x by itself, so you're going to do the square root of both sides. Remember, the square root of both sides is going to be a plus or minus, because the square root of x squared is x. I'm going to write x on the left-hand side and just switch everything around. So we're going to have x equals plus or minus. All right. What you want to do is you want to go to your calculator. I'm not sure how yours works, but you want to do the square root. I don't actually see a square root button on here, but what you would do is you would do the square root button. I'm going to write this over here in black. You would do the square root button, okay, and then you're going to put e to the 5th. And they may, when you do the square root button, it may automatically put a parentheses here, and you might have to put one here. I'm going to try it with my calculator real quick and see what mine does. So I'm going to put second square root, second square root, e, got to find my e again, e to the 5th equals second square root, nope. Okay, so when you hit the second square root, you have to go back and hit the second again, and then you're going to hit the LN button, okay? And then you're going to put 5, and you're going to press the equal sign. And go ahead and see what you would get before I write it. You should get 12.18 2, and the 9 changes the 4 to a 5. Now, our answer is going to be 12.1825. Now, just so you know, just like when we were doing the logs, you can't have a negative answer here. Okay? X has got to be greater than 0. All right? So, if you're going to have a number here, okay, it has to be greater than 0. Okay, if you're going to square it and get e to the 5th. Okay, so we could put, let's see if I could. So an extraneous, I don't really have a lot of room here, so I'm going to do it over here. I'm going to say that my extraneous answer is negative 12.1825. Okay, that's my extraneous answer. You need to know that it's a solution you came up with, but it's not a solution that can be used because x cannot be a negative number. X has to be greater than 0. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. A natural log of 3x minus 4 equals negative 6. So remember, you have a little bit of e right here. So you're going to do e to the negative 6 equals 3x minus 4. All right, so e to the negative 6 equals 3x minus 4. All right, so remember, you've got to get the x by itself. So you're going to have to add 4 to both sides. So we're going to have e to the negative 6 plus 4 equals 3x. All right, so now you know that you're going to have to divide by 3. All right, so you're going to divide by 3, and you're going to have x equals e to the negative 6 plus 4 divided by 3. All right, now it's real important that you put this in your calculator a certain way. All right, so type this in. The second button, hit the E button, which is 2 buttons down from the second button. It's the LN button. All right, do the sign. I'm going to do this in black, so you do the right sign. You have to do this sign right here. It's in parentheses. It's your white button if you have white buttons for your numbers, and it's the one right underneath the 3. So you're going to do minus or negative 6. Now go ahead and press the equals button. You have what that number is. All right, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to add 4 to it. Okay, and then you're going to divide by 3. All right, so now you should have got 1.3-ish. All right, so we're going to put x is approximately 1.3342 because the 5 rounds the 1 to a 2. Of course, over here, I did not put approximately. I'm not going to penalize you if you don't do that, okay? It's just approximately because we're rounding it. That's why I'm saying it's approximately. All right, let's try these 3. All right, we have the natural log of 2x plus the natural log of 3 equals 2. So remember, that plus sign means you're going to multiply the 2x and the 3. So we're going to have the natural log of 2x times 3. All right, well, we know that's 6x, and you could have just put that if you wanted to. I'm just showing you the process. All right, now we're down to where we put the e here. It just kind of helps people remember that you're going to do e to the 2 to the second power equals 6x. You want to get the x by itself, so you're going to divide both sides by 6. So you have x equals e squared divided by 6. All right, now we're going to figure out what x is approximately. So in your calculator, do the second button, do e to the second, and go ahead and press the equals button. That should be about 7.389, blah, blah, blah. All right, now divide by 6, get that number, round it to 4 decimal places. It should be 1.2315. All right, let's look at the next one. The natural log of x minus 3 squared equals 4. All right, well, we're ready to go ahead and put e right here. So e to the 4th equals x minus 3 squared. Now remember, the opposite of squaring something is doing the square root of it. So we're doing the square root of the right side. You're going to end up with x minus 3. But when you do the square root of the left side, you're going to have to put a plus or minus in front. Now, you're probably thinking, why am I going to put a minus? Because I'm not going to be able to use that number. Well, that's true. But what if you had to do this plus or minus the square root of e to the fourth and you were going to be subtracting something from it or adding something to it? You actually could get two answers. So you don't want to get rid of that plus or minus yet. All right. So it just so happens because the square root of e to the fourth is going to be e squared. This one's going to be different than the one we did up here where we were doing the square root of e to the fifth, because there isn't a perfect square for the square root of e to the fifth. But there is for the square root of e squared. E to the fourth is e squared. All right, so we're going to do plus or minus e squared. All right, now we're going to have to add 3 to both sides. So x equals 3 plus or minus e squared. Now, I wrote the e squared second. You don't have to. You could have put x equals plus or minus e squared plus 3. I don't care which way, but you need to plug in. Oops, I hate it when it does that to me. It won't erase, it just shakes. Sorry about that. You have to plug in the e squared first. So go ahead and plug in the e squared. We're going to do second e squared. We're going to pretend like this is a positive number, so go ahead and press the equal sign. Okay, e squared is approximately 7.38. Now, I want you to add 3 to that, and you should get that x is approximately 10.3891, because there's a 0 and there's a 5. The 5 changes the 0 to a 1. All right, now that's when we use the plus sign. Let's see if it will let me erase. It won't let me erase. Okay, that's all right. We use the plus sign. Now, clear out your calculator. Go and punch this little sign right here, okay? Put that sign, put second e squared, press the equals button, and put plus 3, and tell me what you get. X is negative 4.3891. That is extraneous, right? Because we said that x cannot be a negative number. All right, last problem. Sorry, I've had some interruptions tonight. All right, I'm back. Sorry, it wouldn't let me erase what I had written over there, so I had to clean it out and start over again. All right, so we're on letter F right here at the bottom. All right, so we have the natural log of 3x plus 5 squared equals 4. All right, we're ready to bring the e into the picture. So e to the fourth equals 3x plus 5 squared. All right, when you see that squared, you know the opposite of that is doing the square root of both sides. This is going to be plus or minus. Hey, this is nice. This plus or minus to the square root of e to the fourth, we know that's going to be plus or minus e to the second, because we did that last time. And then the square root of 3x squared plus 5 squared is going to be 3x plus 5. So that ended up being pretty easy. All right, now we've got to get the x by itself, so we're going to subtract 5, and I'm going to put 3x equals, I'm going to subtract 5, but I'm still adding and subtracting it to the e squared. So I'm just going to write it like that. You could have put like this, 3x equals plus or minus e squared minus 5. It doesn't matter. All right, so now we're going to divide by 3, and we have x equals negative 5 plus or minus e squared divided by 3. All right, so we're going to have to plug this into our calculator 2 different ways because of that plus or minus sign. X is going to be approximately, now let's see if it'll let me erase this. Yay, it will. Okay, that's wonderful. All right, so in your calculator, let's do this. I like to put my e squared in first. So I'm going to do second e squared equals. Now, I used the positive. I didn't put a negative in front yet. That's 7.389. Now, I'm going to subtract 5 from that number and get 2.389. And then I'm going to divide that by 3. And I'm going to get x equals 0.7964 because it's a 3, 5, so the 5 makes a 3 a 4. All right, so there's one answer. All right, now we're going to clear out our calculator. Punch in this little negative sign that I told you to do, negative. Do second e squared equals. So you have negative 7.389. So you're getting the hang of this, right? You're still going to subtract 5 from it. Press the equals button. And then you're going to divide by 3. Press the equals button. And you could say x is equal to negative 4.1297. But x is negative. So you're like, nope, this is not an answer. This is an extraneous solution. And that's it. All right, we're going to do the other sheet tomorrow. Let's go ahead and pull up your the pacing guide for you guys. All right, so here's the pacing guide for this week. All right, so yesterday you would have done the test prep worksheet and uploaded it by midnight. Today you have the natural logarithms, and you see here that it's 481 to 483, numbers 11 through 27 odd, 67 and 75. All right, you're going to do that homework and you're going to check your answers in the back of the text. All right, and then Wednesday, we're going to do the other half of natural logarithms. Here is your homework there. Do your homework, check your answers in the back of the book. Then on Thursday, as you notice, we try to give you a little bit of a break and let you just do a worksheet on Monday. You know, that way it wasn't so stressful. And then Thursday, just do a worksheet on Thursday and upload it by midnight Thursday night. And then on Friday, you're going to do the review sheet, 7-4, 7-5, 7-6. So on Friday, I'm going to have to do it in the morning. I'm going to do a review session. I'm going to do it at 11 o'clock. All right, so let's scroll down and let's see if it will let me show you the rest of the pacing guide. Okay, so here's the rest of the pacing guide for next week. You need to do your test on Monday. We're going to do 8-4 part A, or day 1, and 8-4 day 2, and then you'll do a test prep worksheet. And then we're going to do 8-5 part A, and then that's as far as I've posted for your pacing guide. I have more, but we're being asked to only post 2 weeks at a time. All right, so if you needed to copy down that homework real quick, there it is right there, 481 to 483, 11 through 27 odds, 67 and 75. All right, see you guys tomorrow.